Jaipur, a city known for its historic charm and warm community, was shaken in October 2022 by a tragedy that unfolded within a seemingly ordinary family. Siddharth, an elderly man known for his friendly demeanor, had recently moved into his daughter Ria's home following the loss of his wife. The home was lively, filled with the everyday sounds of children playing, laughter, and family dinners. Siddharth's presence was a comfort to Ria, her husband Aditya, and their children, Amrita and Rajiv. His loss of companionship was softened by being close to his family, and they were glad to provide him the support he needed. However, while life seemed normal to outsiders, the family dynamic had begun to shift in unsettling ways. 16-year-old Amrita had recently grown quieter and withdrawn. Her radiant, carefree smile had faded, replaced by a guarded look that hinted at something troubling. Siddharth's bond with her was less of the warm, affectionate one typical of grandparents, and seemed to carry a tension only Amrita could sense. This discomfort cast a dark shadow over her life, one she felt compelled to hide, even as it slowly overwhelmed her. By the time anyone noticed these subtle signs, a tragic event had already taken place. This story, once hidden within the walls of an unassuming Jaipur home, would soon grip the city, leaving a trail of heartbreak, unanswered questions, and shattered trust in its wake. In early 2023, an innocent, unexpected revelation came from 8-year-old Rajiv. During a school discussion with his teacher, Miss Sunita, Rajiv casually mentioned that his grandfather, Siddharth, had been buried in the backyard. He described how his parents had planted vegetables over his grandfather's burial spot, an unusual detail that Rajiv had unknowingly found intriguing. His simple, unfiltered words left Miss Sunita in stunned silence. Concerned, she decided to report it to the school administration, which then escalated the matter to the police. For the authorities, the matter was troubling, but unclear. Rajiv was so young. Could this have been a misunderstanding? Yet the specifics of his story were difficult to ignore, so the police were compelled to investigate. With this innocent revelation from a child, the first crack in the family's carefully hidden story was exposed, setting in motion a series of events that would uncover far more than anyone anticipated. After Rajiv's startling revelation about his grandfather's burial in the backyard, the police were quick to take notice. Though initially, they were cautious, knowing that young children often misunderstand or misinterpret situations. Nevertheless, Rajiv's details were too precise to dismiss, especially when he mentioned specific features like the garden plot. Concerned by the accuracy of his account, authorities decided to visit the family home and investigate. Upon arrival, the police encountered Ria and Aditya, who appeared caught off guard but cooperative. When asked about Siddharth's whereabouts, Ria told the officers that he had gone to visit relatives in a nearby city. However, the officers found inconsistencies in her story, small but telling hesitations and shifts in tone. Aditya also fumbled with his version of events, appearing nervous and distracted. The police decided to look further into their story, and a search warrant was issued. With the warrant in hand, the officers began examining the garden. As they carefully dug into the soil where Rajiv had indicated, they made a grim discovery: human remains. Wrapped hastily in a sheet, forensics confirmed the body to be Siddharth's, and further examination showed that he had suffered blunt force trauma to the head, indicating a violent death. With this revelation, the case turned into a homicide investigation, casting suspicion directly onto Aditya and Ria, who were taken into custody for questioning. This marked the start of a long and complex journey for the family as the truth of what happened and why began to come to light. As the investigation continued, a darker side of the family's story emerged, one that had been hidden behind closed doors. Aditya and Ria, who had previously appeared to be a devoted couple focused on providing a good life for their children, were now under a harsh spotlight. Police interrogations revealed that Siddharth's arrival had altered the family dynamic significantly, especially impacting Ria and her teenage daughter, Amrita. When Siddharth first moved in, the family welcomed him warmly, hoping he could heal from the recent loss of his wife. But within a few months, subtle changes in his behavior caught Ria's attention. He had become unusually affectionate with Amrita, singling her out with extra attention and gifts. Amrita, a bright and spirited 16-year-old, gradually grew more reserved and withdrawn, eventually avoiding her grandfather altogether. Ria noticed these changes and tried to comfort her daughter, who hesitated to reveal what was truly happening. Finally, unable to hold back any longer, Amrita confided in her mother, revealing that Siddharth had crossed boundaries, abusing her trust and harming her in a way that no one had anticipated. Devastated and horrified, Ria tried to support her daughter, but the pain of betrayal by a family member consumed her. When she shared this revelation with Aditya, he was overwhelmed with anger, disbelief, and sorrow. For days, the family existed in a state of silent turmoil, unsure of how to address the horrifying truth now embedded in their home. Rhea and Aditya were left grappling with their loyalty to family and their duty to protect their children. The confrontation between Aditya and Siddharth was a long time coming. As the weeks passed, Aditya's unease grew alongside his anger. He found himself reflecting on the late-night whispers and muffled cries coming from Amrita's room, the subtle signs of distress that he had initially dismissed. Each moment weighed heavily on his conscience, pushing him closer to a breaking point. The family dinner table, once a lively gathering, had transformed into a sight of silent suffering, with Ria and Amrita avoiding the subject of Siddharth. One fateful evening, after a particularly tense dinner where Siddharth had made a veiled comment about his relationship with Amrita, Aditya could no longer contain his rage. He demanded Siddharth confront his actions. The tension in the living room was palpable as the two men faced off, both embodying a mix of hurt and fury. Aditya's voice trembled with anger as he confronted Siddharth, accusing him of manipulating and abusing Amrita. Siddharth, taken aback, responded defensively, denying any wrongdoing. He accused Aditya of being overly protective and suggested that Amrita was being dramatic. This dismissal infuriated Aditya further. He felt a primal instinct to defend his daughter. Fueled by a surge of adrenaline, Aditya stepped closer, fists clenched, demanding Siddharth acknowledge the pain he had caused. The conversation escalated into a shouting match, voices raised and emotions spiraling out of control. In a moment of blind rage, Aditya lashed out. The physical altercation was swift. He pushed Siddharth, who stumbled backward and fell, striking his head against the edge of the coffee table. The sound of the impact echoed in the room, followed by an eerie silence. Aditya's heart raced as he rushed to Siddharth, who lay motionless on the floor, an unnatural angle to his neck. Panic surged through Aditya as he realized the gravity of what had just happened. Ria, witnessing the scene unfold, was engulfed in horror, torn between her instinct to protect her husband and her maternal drive to ensure Amrita's safety. With the realization that Siddharth was dead, fear gripped the couple. The weight of their actions settled in, and they quickly began to discuss their next steps. Instead of calling the police, Aditya and Ria decided to conceal the incident, fearing the repercussions not only for themselves, but also for Amrita. They couldn't bear the thought of their daughter being further victimized by the situation. In the dead of night, with trembling hands and heavy hearts, they wrapped Siddharth's body in a sheet and transported him to the backyard. As they dug a shallow grave, every scoop of dirt felt like a betrayal. Their home, once filled with laughter and warmth, had become a sight of horror and shame. They buried Siddharth, planting flowers and vegetables over the fresh soil, hoping that nature would mask the violent truth beneath. But beneath that layer of earth lay not just a body, but a web of deception and pain that would soon unravel. In the days following Siddharth's tragic death, the atmosphere in the household became increasingly strained. Aditya and Ria attempted to maintain a facade of normalcy, but the weight of their secret loomed large. They avoided conversations about Siddharth and diverted their children's attention to innocent pastimes. Yet, amidst the tension, young Rajiv continued to explore the backyard, unaware of the shadows that loomed over his family. One sunny afternoon, Rajiv was playing with his toy shovel, pretending to dig for treasure in the garden. His imagination ran wild, and he began to unearth little trinkets he had buried there. As he dug deeper, he stumbled upon a loose patch of soil that felt different. Curiosity piqued. He began to dig more vigorously. Suddenly, the edge of the sheet covering Siddharth's body was revealed, the stark white fabric contrasting against the dark earth. Rajiv's innocent excitement quickly morphed into confusion and fear. He hesitated for a moment, staring at the sheet, before running inside to find his parents. Breathless, he exclaimed, "Mom, Dad, I found something! I think it's a treasure!" His enthusiasm was met with alarm as Aditya and Rhea exchanged panicked glances. They rushed outside, the innocent tone of their child contrasting sharply with the horror they feared might come to light. When they arrived, Rajiv pointed to the disturbed soil, but by then, the weight of their decision to hide the truth felt insurmountable. Aditya quickly dismissed Rajiv's excitement, brushing it off as a mere game. But Rajiv's curiosity didn't fade. He insisted that they come and see what he had found. Sensing the impending disaster, Rhea quickly intervened, telling Rajiv that it was nothing to worry about. However, the seed of doubt had been planted. Rajiv's innocent yet probing questions began to unravel the delicate fabric of their secret. "What's buried there, Dad? Is it really treasure?" Aditya's heart sank. How could he explain to his child the gruesome reality of what lay beneath? In a desperate attempt to redirect the conversation, he suggested they focus on planting new flowers instead. But it was too late. Rajiv's comment about a treasure circulated among his friends at school, eventually catching the attention of a teacher who sensed something was amiss. During a routine conversation about their families, Rajiv mentioned his grandpa being buried in their backyard. His words innocent, but loaded with implications. Concerned for the child, the teacher took immediate action, reporting it to the school administration. The principal, recognizing the potential severity of the situation, contacted the local authorities. A police officer was dispatched to investigate. Initially skeptical, the officers arrived at the family home, greeted by the sight of a seemingly ordinary household. Aditya and Rhea maintained their composure, denying anything unusual. But as the questioning unfolded, their nervousness became increasingly evident. The police, trained to pick up on inconsistencies, noticed the way Aditya's hands trembled and how Rhea's eyes darted away when questions about Siddharth arose. Eventually, the officers expressed their intent to conduct a search in the backyard. The couple's hearts raced, and they exchanged terrified glances, realizing that the truth could no longer be contained. As the investigation commenced, Rajiv watched from a distance, still unaware of the gravity of the situation. The police began digging, unearthing the layers of dirt and exposing the dark secret buried beneath. Finally, the moment arrived when the officers uncovered the sheet. The realization struck like lightning, and silence enveloped the yard as they revealed Siddharth's lifeless body. The truth came crashing down on the family as the police took Aditya and Rhea into custody. The innocence of Rajiv had inadvertently unraveled their carefully crafted facade. The community was rocked by the revelations, with neighbors whispering in disbelief about the family they thought they knew. Siddharth's death, initially viewed as a tragic accident, morphed into a sensational story of family betrayal and hidden horrors. The courtroom transformed into a theater of emotions, with each session drawing increasing public interest. News outlets flooded the scene, and every detail of the case was dissected by reporters eager for sensational headlines. Aditya and Rhea, once respected members of the community, now found themselves in the glaring spotlight, facing the judgment of their peers. The trial began with the prosecution laying out a meticulous case. They depicted Aditya as a man consumed by rage and jealousy, a father driven to violence by the fear of losing his daughter to Siddharth's manipulations. They presented witness testimonies from neighbors who had heard arguments emanating from the family home, painting a picture of a household in turmoil. Amrita's testimony was the emotional crux of the trial. When she took the stand, her hands trembled as she recounted the traumatic relationship with Siddharth. Her voice broke as she described the psychological manipulation she had endured, how she had felt trapped in a web of deceit. The jury listened intently, moved by the raw honesty of her pain. Aditya watched his daughter with a heavy heart, realizing the extent to which her life had been affected by the circumstances surrounding Siddharth. As the trial progressed, the defense painted a contrasting narrative. They argued that Aditya acted in a moment of extreme emotional distress, driven to violence not by malice, but by a desperate need to protect his daughter. They emphasized Siddharth's abusive behavior, suggesting that Aditya's actions, while regrettable, were a tragic consequence of a father's love. They portrayed Rhea as a woman caught in the crossfire, highlighting her reluctance to confront the truth. The courtroom drama unfolded with gripping testimony from psychological experts who examined Aditya's mental state at the time of the incident. They discussed the effects of prolonged stress and trauma, suggesting that Aditya's actions were not premeditated, but rather a result of a breaking point, a culmination of fear and rage fueled by the years of witnessing Siddharth's abusive behavior toward Amrita. As the trial neared its conclusion, the jury was faced with a difficult decision. They deliberated on the nuances of the case. Was this a case of murder? Or was it a crime of passion born out of desperation? The pressure weighed heavily on them, knowing that their verdict would not only impact Ditya and Rhea, but also reverberate throughout the community. Finally, after days of tension-filled discussions, the jury reached their verdict. The courtroom fell silent as the four persons stood to deliver the news. Aditya was found guilty of manslaughter, a decision that evoked a mixture of relief and sorrow. The jury acknowledged the complex circumstances surrounding the crime, leading to a reduced sentence. Aditya received a 5-year prison sentence, a verdict that stirred emotions on all sides. Some members of the public felt justice had been served, while others believed the man had been pushed to his limits by a situation he did not create. Rhea, facing lesser charges for her role in concealing the crime, received a suspended sentence, which allowed her to stay with her children. The family was left to navigate the aftermath, grappling with the consequences of their actions and the haunting memories of what had transpired. Amrita felt the burden of her family's choices, struggling to reconcile her love for her father with the reality of what had happened. The trial sparked discussions in the community about the often hidden issues of domestic abuse and the lengths to which individuals might go to protect their loved ones. It served as a sobering reminder of the complexities of family dynamics, where love, rage, and fear can intertwine in destructive ways. As Aditya began his sentence, he found himself reflecting on his actions and the cost of his decisions. The family sought therapy to heal the wounds inflicted by the past, working to rebuild their lives in the shadow of tragedy. Amrita emerged as a strong advocate for abuse awareness, using her experience to support others who had faced similar challenges. Though their lives were irrevocably changed, they sought to find a path toward healing, determined to honor the memory of those lost and to forge a future rooted in truth and resilience. The gavel's final thud echoed in the courtroom, marking not just the end of a trial, but the beginning of a complex and emotional journey for the family. As Aditya served his sentence, life outside the prison walls continued, but the scars of the past lingered like shadows over their wives. In the months following the verdict, Amrita emerged as a pivotal figure in the family's healing process. Stripped of the illusion of a perfect family, she felt a fierce determination to reclaim her voice. The trauma of her experiences with Siddharth haunted her, yet it also ignited a passion for advocating against domestic abuse. She began attending support groups and educational seminars, where she shared her story, hoping to inspire others to break free from toxic relationships. Amrita's newfound purpose resonated within her community, where her transparency about her struggles opened dialogues about topics often shrouded in silence. She organized awareness campaigns at local schools, highlighting the signs of emotional abuse and providing resources for those in need. Her commitment transformed her pain into power, and she quickly became a beacon of hope for many. Meanwhile, Rajiv, now a few years older, grappled with the reality of his family's situation. The events surrounding Siddharth's death were difficult for him to comprehend, but he sensed the heaviness in his parents' hearts. Rhea took on the responsibility of nurturing their son, balancing her own grief with the need to shield him from the complexities of their past. Rhea sought counseling, aiming to understand the tumult of emotions swirling within her. She learned how to communicate openly with Rajiv, ensuring he felt safe expressing his feelings. Their bond deepened as she encouraged him to talk about his fears and anxieties. Rhea emphasized the importance of kindness, resilience, and understanding, values she wished to instill in him as they navigated their new reality. As Rajiv participated in activities that encouraged creativity, such as art and music classes, He began to express his emotions through his work. His drawings, once simple and playful, transformed into intricate depictions of his thoughts and feelings. When he presented his artwork at a local exhibition, Ria stood proudly by his side, recognizing the healing power of expression in his journey. In prison, Aditya faced the consequences of his actions head-on. The isolation was difficult, but it provided him with ample time for reflection. He enrolled in programs focused on anger management and personal development, striving to understand the roots of his violent reaction. Through counseling sessions, he confronted the pain of his choices and the impact they had on his family. Each session felt like peeling back layers of an onion, revealing deeper emotional wounds he had long ignored. Letters exchanged between Aditya and his family became a lifeline. Ria and Amrita wrote regularly, sharing their triumphs and struggles. Aditya found solace in their words, realizing how crucial their support was in his rehabilitation. The more he learned about managing his emotions, the more he understood the importance of building a healthier family dynamic. During one visit, Amrita looked into her father's eyes and saw a flicker of the man he once was, a man capable of love, kindness, and understanding. They talked openly about their pain, their regrets, and their hopes for the future. This dialogue, filled with raw honesty, marked a significant turning point in their relationship. As the months turned into years, the family began to rebuild their lives. With Aditya's release approaching, discussions about reintegration were filled with both excitement and apprehension. Would they be able to reconcile the past and create a new normal? They sought family therapy, eager to confront the ghosts that lingered and to lay the foundation for a healthier relationship moving forward. During one particularly moving session, they discussed the idea of forgiveness. It was a difficult concept, laden with expectations and fears. Amrita expressed her feelings of betrayal, but also her desire to heal. Aditya listened, understanding the weight of his actions. He acknowledged the pain he caused and sought forgiveness, not only from his daughter, but from himself. The therapist guided them through exercises designed to foster empathy and understanding. They practiced active listening, ensuring that each family member felt heard and validated. Slowly, the barriers built from years of hurt began to crumble, replaced by a renewed sense of hope. With Aditya's release on the horizon, the family faced the pivotal moment of reunion. They planned a small gathering at their home, a symbolic gesture to welcome him back. As the day approached, excitement and anxiety danced within the household. Would they be able to move forward as a cohesive unit, or would the shadows of the past continue to loom large? When Aditya stepped through the front door, the atmosphere was thick with emotion. Rajiv rushed to his father, embracing him tightly, feeling the weight of the absence that had stretched between them. Ria and Amrita followed suit, hesitant yet eager to reconnect. The air was heavy with unspoken words, but the warmth of their embrace spoke volumes. As they gathered around the dinner table, laughter began to fill the room, interspersed with heartfelt conversations. They shared stories of resilience and hope and expressed their dreams for the future. It was a small yet significant step toward healing, a moment to cherish as they navigated their path forward. The journey toward healing was far from over. The family understood that they would continue to face challenges, but they were determined to confront them together. Amrita, empowered by her advocacy work, began writing a book about her experiences, hoping to shed light on the complexities of domestic abuse and the strength found in vulnerability. Aditya committed himself to a new beginning, focused on being the father and husband his family deserved. He enrolled in community programs, eager to give back and to connect with others who had faced similar challenges. Together, they forged a path defined by love, understanding, and resilience, turning their pain into purpose. As seasons changed, so did the family's dynamics. They learned to celebrate small victories and navigate setbacks with compassion. While the past remained a part of their story, it no longer defined them. Instead, they emerged as a testament to the power of healing, a family bound not just by blood, but by the unbreakable threads of love and forgiveness.